The Boston Celtics are standing on the edge of something that feels bigger than basketball, something that feels like the start of a story that fans will be talking about for years to come. With training camp just around the corner, Brad Stevens has already started to move pieces on the board, and the ripple effects are already shaking conversations across the league. The news may seem small on the surface, but those who know how the Celtics operate understand that every decision carries layers of meaning. Sometimes the most overlooked moves end up being the spark that ignites an entire season. And right now, Boston is quietly setting the stage for something that could shift the direction of the franchise in ways nobody sees coming. Before we dive deep into this, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and click on the hype button so you never miss a single update. This is where we break down every move, every rumor, and every twist in the Celtics' journey. You don't want to be the last one to know when the next big wave hits Boston basketball. Now let's get into it. Brad Stevens made 2 roster adjustments before camp even opened, and while some people might dismiss them as routine shuffling, the Real story begins when you connect these decisions to the bigger picture. Hayden Gray, who arrived on an Exhibit 10 deal, has been waived. To most fans, Gray was just a name on the camp roster, but the deeper truth is that Boston's front office is being ruthless in ensuring every spot is maximized for potential upside. Gray was the second leading scorer for UC San Diego, an elite college defender who led the nation in steals, yet even those accomplishments weren't enough to secure him a role. The Celtics are not in the business of sentimentality, they are in the business of building a contender brick by brick. And that leads us to Kendall Brown. At 21 years old, 6'6" with elite athleticism, he's not arriving in Boston with overwhelming stats, but that is exactly why the move is fascinating. Brown was the 48th pick in the 2022 draft, a player once pegged as a raw, but gifted forward with explosion in transition and rim pressure that most young wings simply can't replicate. In Indiana, he never found consistent playing time, averaging barely over 3 minutes per game across just 21 NBA appearances. Yet when you look at his G League resume, a different picture emerges. 16 points per game, 37% from deep, and an ability to thrive in a fast-paced environment. Boston did not bring Kendall Brown to camp by accident. Stevens has a track record of identifying undervalued pieces who can fit into the Celtics' larger ecosystem. Just ask yourself, why give this kind of opportunity to a player with limited NBA numbers unless you see something the rest of the league missed? The Celtics believe Brown has the physical tools, the work ethic, and the adaptability to grow within their system. For a franchise that needs to balance massive contracts with hidden gems on cheap deals, finding one diamond in the rough can completely alter the balance of power. And it's not just Brown. Exhibit 10 contracts have also gone out to Jaylen Bridges and Ron Harper Jr. Bridges is the sharpshooter. Harper is the versatile scorer, and together with Brown they form a trio of young prospects with different skill sets that could quietly change the outlook of Boston's bench. Nobody expects all 3 to hit, but history shows that even one success story out of this group can pay off in ways that ripple through an entire playoff run. The bigger question is what this says about the Celtics' long-term vision. Look closely, and you'll see a front office preparing for 2 battles at once. On one side, they are chasing a championship with Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown in their prime, trying to maximize a window that fans know is precious. On the other side, they are preparing for a future where financial flexibility is razor thin, where the only way to keep the roster competitive is by developing cheap, controllable talent. These Exhibit 10 players, these two-way deals, they are not filler. They are lottery tickets, and Boston has a habit of scratching them at just the right time. And then comes the curveball, Anthony Simons. Celtics insider Brian Robb confirmed that Boston has explored the market for Simons all summer, yet nothing has materialized. The price tag is steep, $27 million for a guard who has undeniable scoring talent, but questions on the defensive end. Right now, most teams feel comfortable with their rosters heading into the season, which makes a preseason blockbuster unlikely. But that can change fast. Injuries, slow starts, or unexpected struggles always force contenders to the phone, and that's when Boston's patience might pay off. Simons is more than just a trade chip. He fits Joe Mazzulla's style, a high-volume shooter who thrives in pace and space. Even if the Celtics ultimately move him, the plan is clear. Showcase him, build his value, and wait until the league comes calling. And if no deal materializes by the deadline, don't rule out the possibility of Boston keeping him longer than anyone expects. Stevens understands that Simons is not only a player but also one of the few large contracts that can unlock future roster flexibility. Moving him too quickly could close doors Boston cannot afford to shut. And of course, there's the heartstring tug every Celtics fan feels. Al Horford, the veteran leader, the locker room anchor, the player who embodies what it means to wear Celtic green. Right now, Horford remains with Golden State, locked in on a 2-year deal with a player option. The chances of him returning this season are non-existent, but never say never about 2026 or 2027. Horford may yet close his career back in Boston, alongside Tatum, Brown, and the next generation. Even if that chapter never materializes, he is and always will be a Celtic in the hearts of fans. So what does it all mean? It means that Boston is not standing still. They are moving, maneuvering, experimenting, and preparing for every possible outcome. From the overlooked Exhibit 10 signings, to the patience with Anthony Simons, to the bittersweet goodbye to Al Horford, every move tells the same story. The Celtics are hunting for the perfect balance between the present and the future, between chasing the banner and building sustainability. And in that balance lies the potential for a season that no one will forget. The moves may not look shocking at first glance, but the most important pieces are often the ones that sneak past everyone until it's too late. The Celtics know it, the league suspects it, and now you do too. Boston is playing chess while others play checkers, and the next few months could reveal just how far ahead Stevens and this front office are thinking. Boston is playing chess while others play checkers, and the next few months could reveal just how far ahead Stevens and this front office are thinking. But if you thought the recent roster tweaks and whispers around Anthony Simons were the whole story, think again, because there's a much bigger storm forming behind the curtain, a scenario that could change the identity of the Celtics frontcourt overnight and potentially shift the balance of power across the Eastern Conference. Reports are circulating that Boston could be preparing to cut ties with a $100 million guard in order to chase a 7-foot defensive wall, a rim protector with the kind of gravity that changes how opposing offenses operate. If that sentence made you sit up, it should, because this is the kind of move that alters not just rotations, but entire playoff matchups. The name at the center of it all is Walker Kessler, one of the league's premier young big men, and if the Celtics find a way to bring him into the fold, everything we know about this team's future trajectory will need to be reimagined. Think about where Boston stands right now. Al Horford is almost certainly staying in Golden State, Kristaps Porziņģis is no longer part of the picture, and the team has a glaring hole in the middle. This is not just a depth concern, it is the kind of gap that can decide whether Boston falls short again or finally raises banner number 18. A championship contender cannot enter season without a reliable defensive anchor at the 5, not in an era where elite guards penetrate relentlessly and where playoff series are often decided in the paint. Enter Kessler. At just 24 years old, standing 7 feet 1 with the instincts of a veteran, he averaged over 11 points, 12 rebounds, and nearly 2.5 blocks per game last season, while shooting more than 66% from the field. Those are not just good numbers, they are the statistical fingerprints of a player who knows exactly who he is and exactly how to impact winning without demanding touches or disrupting offensive flow. He is the kind of center who can anchor a defense without needing to be the star, and that is precisely the archetype Boston needs. The rumored framework of the deal is fascinating in itself. Anthony Simons, whose contract totals $100 million, would be sent to Utah in exchange for Walker Kessler and Jusuf Nurkic. On the surface, some will wonder why Boston would sacrifice such a high-scoring guard, but the answer lies in the roster balance. With Derek White and Peyton Pritchard already locked in as reliable backcourt pieces, Boston can afford to move Simons if it means securing the interior presence they desperately lack. The Celtics' offense will never lack for scoring as long as Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown are on the floor, but rim protection and rebounding are resources that cannot be faked. And then there's the deeper angle. Utah has reasons of their own to consider moving Kessler, with Kyle Filipowski emerging as a potential centerpiece for their future. A stretch big who can shoot from outside, Filipowski offers Utah a stylistic direction that differs from Kessler's traditional rim-running approach. If the Jazz decide that spacing and offensive versatility matter more than paint defense, they might be willing to let go of a shot blocker who would instantly solve Boston's biggest weakness. It will not come cheap. Draft capital is likely going to be part of any serious discussion, and Stevens knows the price of elite size in today's league. But when you weigh the cost against the potential reward, the equation starts to look favorable. Imagine a playoff series against Milwaukee where Kessler erases second-chance opportunities from Giannis Antetokounmpo, or a series against Philadelphia where he bodies Joel Embiid without Boston having to double every possession. Those scenarios are not pipe dreams, they are tactical realities that come into play the second a player like Kessler is wearing green. There's also the psychological factor. Opposing guards think twice about driving when a 7-foot shot eraser is lurking, and that ripple effect elevates every other defender on the floor. White and Pritchard can press higher, Tatum and Brown can gamble for steals, and suddenly Boston's perimeter defense becomes suffocating in ways that extend beyond individual matchups. One addition can recalibrate the entire machine, and Kessler is precisely the type of addition that does it. Do not underestimate the long game here. Kessler is not a rental. He is a player whose contract and age align with Boston's timeline, meaning the Celtics would not just be patching a hole for this season, they would be securing a defensive cornerstone for years to come. Think of how Robert Williams once electrified this fan base with his rim protection. Then imagine a younger, sturdier, more consistent version of that profile who can actually stay on the court. That is what Kessler represents, and that is why whispers of this trade are starting to feel like more than idle speculation. The Celtics are not built to tread water. Every move from Stevens has been calculated, every signing, and cut designed to balance the urgency of winning now with the sustainability of winning later. If Boston makes the leap and pulls the trigger on a Simons for Kessler deal, it will not be because they panicked, it will be because they saw the one piece that could elevate their roster from contender to favorite and were bold enough to seize it. So ask yourself, are the Celtics ready to trade a $100 million guard for the chance to land a defensive monster who could anchor their front court for the next decade? If the answer is yes, then Boston is about to enter a new era, one where the paint belongs to them, and one where banner number 18 no longer feels like a dream, but a real possibility. And that is why this moment matters. Every rumor, every adjustment, every whisper of a trade is not noise, it is the sound of a franchise positioning itself for greatness. The Celtics are not waiting for the future to arrive, they are building it piece by piece, and fans should feel the excitement of what might be coming next. Before we wrap, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and smash the hype button so you never miss a single update. This season could be historic, and you want to be here for every step of the journey. Boston is moving, Boston is building, and Boston is coming.